Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Pricing of modern video games, independent video games, is a bit of a hot topic as of late, considering you have digital releases, deluxe releases, arbitrary pricing on non-physical items. When you have independent games running $30 and $40 where people just flock to the game because it's fun and get hundreds, if not thousands of hours of entertainment out of it. And then suddenly you go to the so-called AAA industry or, well, quadruple A video games that are priced at 70, 80 with special editions priced at $110 and $130 that are nothing more than a buggy slop mess. Which pricing model is justified? Well, we got a little article over here to discuss it. Baldur's Gate 3. Where are we going? I know how to do it. I know what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen. Sure. That Park Place, John F. Trent coming in with Baldur's Gate 3 developer appears to blast Ubisoft's pricing. Well, Ubisoft's pricing of Star Wars Outlaws is absolutely 100% predatory, despicable, considering the state that game's in, while also explaining why he thinks, quote, all games should cost more at a base level. Well, there's a good bit of discussion, a good bit of a disagreement on that one, but let's see what the artist got to say. Dowse, who is the guy's name? Michael Dowse, director of publishing at Larian Studios, recently blasted Ubisoft for how it priced Star Wars Outlaws, while also suggesting that all games should cost more. Dowse posted an image of Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate Edition, Ultimate Digital Edition, all digital, no overhead, no pressing of CDs, no packaging, no delivery, nothing physical whatsoever, and yet costing $130. What? Anyway. And Roadhog X, I don't love the artificiality of pricing structures post-retail. This was pre-retail. They put this price tag on there quick, fast, and in a hurry. Jeez. Anyway. Use the inflated base price to upsell a subscription and use vague content promises to inflate Ultimate Editions to make the base price look better. He added, it all seems a bit dangerous and disconnected from the community, especially, again, when you have no overhead, no shipping cost, no packaging cost, no cost to print the CDs, nothing physical involved. You are making such a massive amount in the profit margin. It's ridiculous. Next, he shared, quote, I think a game should be priced according to its quality. Well, most people will agree. If that were the case, then Star Wars Outlaws, well, that should probably be in the $20 bin. Breadth and depth. Oh, that hit Starfield in the nuts. I'm not against higher prices. As long as you're delivering a quality product, then maybe that justifies the higher price. Then we can have a discussion. But again, as far as AAA games go, hit or miss, we're getting a bunch of misses. A bunch of misses that cannot justify even a $70 price tag, much less a $50 price tag. But this arbitrary uniformity just doesn't make sense to me. It feels so unserious. He then declared almost all games should cost more at a base level because the cost of making them, inflation for one, is outpacing price trends. But I don't think we'll get there with DLC promises so much as quality and communication. That is the main thing. We are missing a massive amount of quality, and all these developers, the so-called AAA developers, seem to think that, well, if we just slap a particular IP's name on it, we can charge $70 for it. Everybody else is charging $70 for it. We're a AAA studio, so people are going to pay it. They're going to eat up the slop, and it doesn't matter. If the game is unfinished, we'll just send it out there. We'll do a day one patch. Gamers are tolerating that sort of nonsense. They're tolerating a $70 price tag, base, $70 price tag for the base game that's filled with bugs, that requires a day one patch. And in the case of Star Wars Outlaws, if you just happen to bypass that 3-day restriction by spending an extra $50 or $40, then, well, if it's too buggy, you're going to have to patch the game and start all over. Almost all games outpacing price trends, but I don't think we'll get them with DLCs. Everyone's just waiting for GTA 6 to do it. LOL. That's kind of a frightening thing. Do you think GTA 6, depending on the scope and the quality of GTA 6, if you tack on $80 or $90 for the base game for GTA 6, I think you're going to have more and more people waiting, holding onto their wallets, waiting for the early reviews, waiting for their trusted content creator to go out and review the game to see, is this going to be the next big hit, the massive open world hit with beautiful graphics, intriguing storylines, interesting characters, and a beautiful world to explore? Or is it going to be a buggy mess falling through the floor and hiding in a bush where the NPCs can't even find you, like Star Wars Outlaws? Remains to be seen. In a separate thread, Douse would attempt to clear up confusion about these posts. He wrote, quote, "Various people who are not very astute." Oh, don't do that. People misunderstood you. Don't insult them. Failed to understand that my point was perhaps $70 to $80 games that function properly and have the content to back it up are better than buggy jank slop repacked with shite skins for $120. And there you hit the nail on the head. If you put out a good game, a fantastic game, where base exploration, doing all the side missions, I'm using Cyberpunk 2077 as an example. However, if Cyberpunk 2077 had come out in a far better state than it did on release date, with all the extra bells and whistles you go through and you complete it, you get that 100%, and you spend 250 to 300 hours on. I can see how that would be worth $70 to $80, but unfortunately, that's not what we are getting, again, out of the so-called AAA industry. The latter exists because the former doesn't. He continued a brief economics lesson. Bulk of development cost is salaries. So maybe stop hiring 400 people to work on your game. That might be a good idea. Start with there. If a company is sensible, they afford inflation increases to developers. This rise costs over time. Last 2 years, astronomically. Yeah, last 2 years, astronomically. Yeah, what are you hinting at? Had a little bit of inflation here. Increase risk to the point where these developers don't want to take risks. They just put out carbon copy, cookie cutter, following the same format as the latest first-person shooter, or at least the latest version of the popular first-person shooter, the latest version of the popular sports game. Just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Those are getting tiresome. Where was I? Increase risk. What do most AAA do? Reduce risk. How? Play it safe. Follow trends. Stop following trends and do something new for a change. That would be a good idea. Give it a shot. Maybe don't spend $200 million on the game. Cut down on the budget. Start with the basics. You know, it doesn't have to be uber realistic graphics. Start with a good concept, a decent style as far as animation and graphics go, and make it fun first, fuckers. You're welcome, Steve. This leads people to look at AI and automation as a beacon of hope for a cost problem, when really the problem is the impossible to solve lack of foresight about what everyone should be making. Try something new. Just try something new. There are outliers. Look at Vampire Survivor. Somehow that game blew up. Look at Five Nights at Freddy's. A couple of streamers online played that game and it exploded into a massive series of video games and even a movie because they just decided to try something new. Let's see. There are outliers. None of the risk-averse strategies typically make better games. What about, let's see, Among Us? That was a bit of a risk and became a fun game, popular game. There's lots of indie developers who sit there and put their love and passion for video games, for entertainment, into the video games, and somehow maybe they only sell 1,000 copies. Maybe they sell 100,000. Maybe, again, like I said, a streamer picks up the game and more people find it to be fun, entertaining. They drop their money down because it's only a $10 game, a $20 game, and ends up selling 10 million copies. Whereas these AAA games that cost $70 sell 100,000. Who makes the most money? It's pretty simple economics. He then declared, if you really want engaging, super polished premium experiences, you won't because it is economically impossible, save for a few token outliers, get them from risk-averse strategies coping with inflation. Probably one of the reasons, again, why the AA, the independent developers, they're taking the risks. They're giving things a shot, giving new ideas a shot. Some of them succeed, some of them fail. The ones that succeed, they got more money to try their next big experiment. I want good games. Oh, we all want good games. And we're tired of the $70 slop, buggy mess, day one patch, week one patch that is being fed to us over and over again with graphical glitches, abysmally looking protagonists, and boring cookie cutter storylines. We just want good games. Make it fun first. I get mad at bad games. I also price games. I priced both DOS2 and BG3 because below their value because I care about people's cost of living and had faith. Oh, now you're just trying to virtue signal. Nah, not virtue signal, but pity party maybe? I priced them lower because I care about people's cost of living. Baldur's Gate 3 sold in the millions of copies, I believe. I do believe you made quite a bit of your money back. Again, I had faith, so I'm not the suit ripping people off. Thanks, RPS. What? When asked for clarification about what he was referring to as buggy jank slop, well, we all know what he was referring to. Douse made it clear he was not referring to Star Wars Outlaws. Sure you weren't, but maybe not specifically, but Star Wars Outlaws is definitely an example of buggy jank slop. Told that Park Place that he was referring to, quote, the many games that release underbaked, Star Wars Outlaws, and buggy, Star Wars Outlaws, in spite of big tacked-on DLC promises, Star Wars Outlaws, at a higher premium. So, how much more we got? This answer is unsurprising given Douse claimed his love for Star Wars Outlaws. How are you going to sit there and criticize the price point for Star Wars Outlaws and yet sit there, follow it up, claiming that the base game should start costing more due to inflation, cost of living increases, and these games cost money to make? Sure, that is true, but there's no love, there's no passion, there's no quality control going on in these AAA studios. At least that's what it comes across. We have Star Wars Outlaws that even before the so-called early access came out, it was riddled with issues with AI, with bugs, the stealth bug videos that came out. And now that the game has released, full release, we're getting more and more problems with AI, problems with bugs, people falling through the floor when they're trying to enter a building. This is a problem across the AAA industry when they want to charge $70, $100, $120 for the extra special editions of digital product, and yet you want people to pay more when the quality is dropping exponentially, it seems, with one release after another. So please forgive me if I disagree with you and try to, I guess, look for more AA, more independent games that don't necessarily have the realistic graphics, but spend more time on character development, world building, putting their heart and soul because they still care about the games they're making and the stories they're telling. So you can talk about the higher prices, and if the game deserves a higher price, it will be seen in the game, in the reviews. But if you start tacking on $80, $90, $100 price tags for a base game experience, people will shut their wallets down and wait more and more for reviewers to check the game out first to see if it's even worth their time, much less their wallet. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTube is begging you to do, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.